manufacturers spend a lot of money on advertisements, and of course they are going to embellish about the benefits and the taste. And I think they can't say much about the benefits of sugar over a sugar replacement, but what I can say is that nothing tastes quite like sugar, which is not true.
Hello and welcome to Sugar Free TV. And today I'm so excited. Luke, I can't wait for today's episode because we are joined by Corina Donohoe from the London KetoBaker.com, and we're just so excited to talk to you, Corina. So it's lovely to have you here, and welcome to Sugar Free TV.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and I think the work you're doing is absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to get involved as much as I can. It's an absolutely fantastic initiative.
Oh, brilliant. Well, Luke, I can't wait to get talking about all the amazing food that Corina is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the foods are amazing. And, and the thing is, as you can tell us, Corina, about them, I mean, you're not losing the taste and from what you've actually put in. And that's the thing that's so exciting, is actually not doing that. And maybe as well, we can talk about some of the challenges you feel that people are facing as well. That transition. Yeah.
Brilliant. So let's start from the beginning, Corina. So tell us about your story, like what made you, you are not just a sugar-free baker, but also gluten-free and a keto baker. So tell us a bit about your backstory. How did you get into this, and how did you kind of wake up to being sugar-free?
I've been sugar-free for many, many years. I don't know exactly how it started, but what I remember is how I felt when I started eliminating sugar from my diet, and I started feeling more energetic and less sleepy, and I got a better quality of life overall. So a couple of years ago, I was looking, I'd been following a ketogenic diet on and off for years, and I was looking for a ketogenic compliant breads or cake. I was, I think, getting a bit sick of just having steak and broccoli every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I was looking for the old foods that I used to eat before I started following a ketogenic lifestyle, and I couldn't find them in supermarkets in the UK. There are a lot of low carb breads and cakes, but they use gluten or they use a sugar replacement that's not quite keto, or they use yeast or other nasty ingredients. And I wanted a clean bread or a clean cake mix that I can bake at home and not regret eating it afterwards. So I got myself a large bag of flaxseed and a large bag of erythritol, and I started baking in my own kitchen. And I got to a point where I thought my recipes were good, and if I couldn't find similar products in the supermarkets in the UK, there's no way I'm the only one in the UK who can't find them. So I thought maybe it's worth marketing them and see if there's any demands for them out there. And that's how Keto Baker London started, really. So we've been trading for a bit over a year, and it's been going from strength to strength. And we've been getting really good feedback from customers and quite a few repeat customers who really like our breads, and they feel the benefit of eating flaxseed over wheat flour, and reducing sugar or eliminating sugar altogether from their diet, and eating sugar replacements like erythritol is what we use in our cake mixes. And I think the biggest challenge so far has been educating people, not necessarily as to the benefits of a sugar-free lifestyle, because everyone, I think, knows on some level that sugar is bad for you. You should reduce it or eliminate it. But more to the idea that if you give up sugar, you don't have to give up cake. You don't have to give up desserts or treats. You can still have sugarless cakes that we use a sugar replacement. You don't lose the taste at all. You don't lose the texture. You just eliminate all the nasty kind of side effects of eating sugar in the long term, not necessarily only in the long term, in the short term as well. So yeah, I think that the biggest challenge is educating the wider public as to the benefits of a sugar-free lifestyle. I try not to call it a diet, because the diet has a very kind of like limited time span. And it's something that you do and then you stop doing it, and then you go back to your old habits. So it's more of a lifestyle. It's something that you need to change and keep at it going forward.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, it is like music to my ears. Everything you're saying is fantastic.
Well, because the other thing I was going to say about that as well that's really key is that you can introduce it slowly, which is very different, because the thing about a diet is that there's that cutover point with the diet, isn't it? It's sort of like I'm going from my old habit to my new. There's a lot of pain associated with dieting and what you're going to not have. Whereas we see this, and I expect you agree, that we see this as a very good stepping stone for people, because you can have your sweet treats without feeling, without any guilt. And you can obviously change those things and introduce them slowly. So it can be a gradual process, which is what we found. And I've certainly found that with my use of erythritol, is it's that gradual introduction of it and weaning yourself off the sugar very, in a controlled manner, which makes it a lot easier for people.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And the good thing about erythritol is that it tastes exactly like sugar. It has the same consistency. It bakes exactly like sugar. You can make, buttercream icing with it for your cakes. You can use it in tea and coffee and all sorts. So, for instance, I don't use sugar at home. I have 2 small children, and whenever we bake, we use sugar replacement, and they can't tell the difference. So I can't control everything they eat. So when they are in school, the school canteen bakes with sugar, traditional cakes. When they go to birthday parties, they have traditional cakes with I say traditional, it was considered to be a kind of traditional cakes with sugar and wheat flour. But when we bake at home, we use erythritol, and they can't tell the difference, and they like them equally. So it's not an acquired taste, erythritol. It's a simple change you can make on your grocery list, and it doesn't have to change the way you bake or the way you eat at home. You can still have the exact same bakes as before, but just make slightly different.
I found also, talking about children, I mean, we're very keen we started a sort of a sugar-free schools campaign. And one of the things that I did is I spoke to my son's school, and they actually started making cakes for the children and making cookies. And using, basically, I took the zucker into them, the erythritol in, and they're saying to the children, let's start baking with this. And also what I found with my son is that his attention during school was increased because he wasn't getting a sugar high from, having sugar on cereal in the morning and then having a sugar low at 10:30 in the morning and then not being able to concentrate. So there's massive benefits for children avoiding sugar and not having the blood sugar problem, as well as humans, adults, as well as adults, so yeah.
Sometimes they can make us feel like,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, one of the things, it's just a mind-boggling, isn't it, Corina? I don't know if you find it's mind-boggling, but these ingredients that you're talking about, they're not new, are they? They're not new. They have been around for decades, including erythritol. We have got our brand of organic erythritol, which is zucca. It's completely organic. So we're very passionate about sustainable and environment and sustainable farming practices. So that's why we've got one of the only ones in the UK. We're one of the only organic suppliers of erythritol in the UK. So, but this isn't a new product. It's not a new ingredient. It's been around for decades. And so you just wonder, why are we eating sugar then? It's sort of, when you start uncovering it, I mean, how does it make you feel when you look at the bigger picture and you see people's health? Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, we eat things that are, advertised to us, things that we see everywhere. And, the large sugar beets or other types of sugar manufacturers spend a lot of money on advertisements. And of course, they are going to embellish about the benefits and the taste. And I think they can't say much about the benefits of sugar over a sugar replacement. But what I can say is that nothing tastes quite like sugar, which is not true. And I think it goes back to an earlier point that we need, the public needs to be educated about the benefits of a sugar replacement, because there is a, maybe not necessarily a misconception, but people think that sugar replacement is only for diabetic patients, and only they are the ones who don't eat sugar, and that other than that, sugar is fine for everyone to eat. And yeah, it's maybe just a matter of getting out there and telling the public that, you know, Tate and Lyle are not necessarily don't have their best interest at heart, and promoting a sugar replacement, and putting I guess some hard work behind and some money behind the advertisement of sugar replacement.
Yeah, absolutely. And campaigning and educating people. I had this comment yesterday on one of our social media channels, and it just blew my mind, but I realized, you know, how deep this problem is. Somebody challenged, I would put a post saying, you know, we don't need sugar anymore, etc. And kind of educational post. And the person said, why would we need to replace sugar? Sugar is fine to eat and it's safe. And I'm thinking, you know, obviously we are well informed on the consequences, but there are so many that sort of opened my mind to how misinformed people are on. They just think it's fine to eat sugar, and we've had to tailor some of our things to make sure that we mention excessive sugar, because, you know, there was a little bit of backlash about people saying, well, sugar, but actually there is no benefit to having any sugar in our diet. There is zero benefit and so many benefits to not having any sugar at all. I mean, how long have you been sugar-free now?
Oh, many years. I've lost count. I'd say maybe not quite 10 years, but
Well
close
done.
to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the general perception when it comes to dieting of lifestyle of people is that you can have everything you want in moderation. And maybe there's a matter of maybe reframing and saying, well, this is sugar, it's just better sugar. It's a sugar that's better for you. Because the idea of having no sugar, everyone thinks like, oh, I can't live without sugar.
Yeah.
I need sugar in my life. And no, you don't. So maybe instead of calling erythritol a sugar replacement, we can call it a better sugar. It's a sugar that's better for you.
Yes, absolutely. Which is why we come up with our brand name, which is Zucker, you know, which actually it's actually the name for sugar in some languages. In German, Zucker is
Yep.
sugar, and also in Arabic. so you know, we kind of had very aligned in that vision, weren't we, Luke, in terms of creating something which was very mainstream.
Yes. And funnily enough, actually, Nabila, one of your videos that you've done that I think was out on, it might have been TikTok, you saying, you know, it's pretty much the same as sugar, but it's not sugar. And it is literally like that. You know, people need to experience it, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's sugar without the sugar.
Yes. Without the sugar.
Without the sugar.
And then without the negativity, without the downsides, basically.
Exactly. So how do you see, you know, your vision? What is your vision for your brand and like your mission? Kind of, have you got a plan, and what do you see coming next for you in your business?
Yeah, like similar to you, we want to become mainstream. We want when people think about ketogenic bread to think Keto Baker London. This is the one and only, the one that we need. And we have been growing quite steadily over the last year. We are supplying quite a few independent stores in London, across the UK, some outside of the UK, in Scandinavia in particular. I think our biggest step forward would be to break into one of the supermarket chains. And it is harder than we thought. And it's mainly because the buyers are not, going back to education, as well educated about the ketogenic diet or a sugar-free diet as we want them to be. So I think before we approach them with MOQs other price lists. We need to approach them with a deck of why ketogenic diet is better, why a sugar-free life is better for you than the diet that we currently follow in the West. So we need to tell them first that, you know, the benefits of sugar-free before we can sell them the products that we produce, which are sugar-free. I think it is going to change. It's very early days for the sugar-free industry, but looking and drawing parallels to the plant-based milks, this wasn't a thing 5-10 years ago, and look at that now and how many milk alternatives there are on the market. I remember maybe 7-8 years ago, I think almond milk was the only milk, or soya milk was the only milk that you would get as an alternative to dairy milk, and look how many options there are now, and how well that side of the market has done. So I think there's a similar trend for sugar replacements, or better sugars than the traditional sugar that's available everywhere.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, that's the same with some of the sugar replacements that are for sale in the supermarkets. They're not particularly good options, some of them. I mean, a lot of people complain to us about the taste of stevia, and obviously some of the other things, the canderols and things, they're not really a sugar replacement. I mean, they're an alternative, but they're not a replacement. The thing that is interesting, actually, talking about the supermarkets, is that one of the things that the buyers, I think, within the supermarkets need to get on board with is that education. And the thing that is key is that I know Tesco did a study, and they said that 70% of their customers want help with becoming healthier. Well, that, with that message back to the buyers and saying, well, this is what we're doing to help people become healthier, and this is where it fits. One of the things I think that the supermarkets also have probably, and the buyers are probably a little bit blocked by, is they've got this free-from range that a lot of the supermarkets have, and some of the products within there are a little bit tasteless. Yeah. And that is one of the things that potentially, I would say, is a challenge, because if that line isn't selling particularly well, and they're thinking, oh, well, this is more of the same line, and that's the thing that they've got to move away from, is that actually there isn't a taste compromise with what you're doing just because it's called keto.
Yeah. I think that the free from bucket, everything that no one really understood got thrown into the free from bucket. So whether that is free from gluten, or free from sugar, or free from, and I think initially when these free from ranges came to market, they were not necessarily an alternative to traditional products, but more a box ticking exercise of having something that wasn't bread, or having something that wasn't sugar. So there wasn't that much thought put behind it, and that much research and work as to the benefits of the ingredients that were making up those products. And that has evolved since the first free from products hit the supermarket shelves. But the problem is that the buyer's perception and the education, their knowledge hasn't evolved that much. So they've tried this free from products 10 years ago, and they thought, oh, that's disgusting, I'm not going to touch it. And although that has changed massively and is changing at such a rapid pace, the buyer is still influenced by that taste from 10 years ago.
Yes. No, absolutely. Yes.
They're outdated. It's very outdated, and they haven't certainly kept up. You only need, I say, a pair of eyes to see what's happening in our population. You don't need a study or statistics from the government. I'm a research nurse background and also a midwife. I don't need to go and look at the statistics. I have a pair of eyes to take a look at what's happening to our children and our adults. So yeah, I think this is you certainly are revolutionary. It's great to talk to a fellow comrade in this revolution, because we're going to be making some noise. I think it's the only way that we're going to educate people. And so, what do you think about a lot of the kind of the TV baking that's happening, and the amount of sugar that they're promoting, and that as well? I mean, how do you feel when you're watching the baking programs? Can you watch them without having a reaction about the amount of sugar?
I do. I find them entertaining. And I do replicate some of their bakes at home, but without sugar, with erythritol or a sugar replacement. Um, I thought a couple of years ago, the Great British Bake Off were moving towards a free from or an alternative week, and they used to have, I remember, maybe when they were still with the BBC, a baking week which was alternative flours or alternative ingredients. And I remember vaguely there were some people that were baking with sugar replacements or without sugar or without a wheat flour. But it seems to have gotten rid of that now. It would be very interesting if they could move a bit more towards healthy bakes. And I know that Prue always says that, if it's something that tastes really good, it's definitely worth the calories. I'm not sure I agree. I don't think anything is worth the calories, and nothing is worth the kind of long-term detrimental effects that they have on your body and on your life, on your quality of life later on. I would very much like to see the Great British Bake Off having at least a week of the 10 weeks they're having the 10 where they use alternative flours or sugar replacements or just alternative bakes, just to show to the wider public that it is possible to bake a tasty cake without sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's 5 times more addictive than crack cocaine, something like that, and it hits that dopamine center. For them to say, oh, it's worth it. And you just think, well, no, not if it's killing people. But you don't associate it because, it's a slow death, really, isn't it? It takes years and years to get the disease. You don't see it straight away. And so, people are very short-sighted. I think we do need a bit of a revolution to change people's thinking. Yeah, I could see Luke nodding away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what, in terms of kind of actionable things, because we love to kind of pick your brains as well. Have you, first of all, before I get to that, have you converted a lot of your friends and family to this way of eating? Have you managed to do that, apart from your kids?
Yeah, well, absolutely. My family, yes, funny enough, they like the breads, and not just as a low carb alternative, just as a bread. So my husband's family is originally from Ireland, and mine is from Romania, and both Ireland and Romania do yeast-free breads, quite like dense, like soda bread, and Romanians have a bread similar to rye bread. So they quite like the consistency of a bread without gluten, without wheat, and without yeast. So it's been doing quite well in our families. And our friends, yeah, some of them are easier to persuade, some of them less so, but we are not giving up anyway. And whenever we have dinner parties, we cook our food without sugar and without gluten, and they can't tell the difference. So that's success.
Fantastic. And so I think we normally end, don't we, Luke, with asking our guests kind of if you have any top tips and advice for people that want to start this journey, because this channel is about having intelligent conversations and kind of getting the message out there. But if you had some top tips for somebody who's thinking about starting this sugar-free journey, what would you tell them?
I would tell them not to be afraid to start the sugar-free journey, because they would be surprised once they look into it how many products there are without sugar that are tasty. So if people think that, oh, I can't give up sugar because I like cake with my tea, that's fine. You can still have cake with your tea. It will actually be even better than your old cake. Oh, I can't give up breads because I like bread. I can't give up sandwiches if I go on a diet. You don't have to. Just replace little things in your life. You don't have giving up sugar. That doesn't mean giving up certain foods that you eat. You just adjust them to a sugar-free life. So it's not at all about giving up. It's about swapping things around. You can still have all the foods that you enjoy, but with a twist. And what's wrong with that if it's better for you in the long run?
And start. What would you start people on? Would you start people on the on your bread? Is that the first? Where would you say is the first thing for people to go and grab as a start off? Do you think the bread's the key, or is it? You think something else?
I think the bread is the key. Well, in our case anyway, but it depends what it is that you like. So my husband likes bread and pizza, and he likes sandwiches. So for him, bread. I'm very happy to. I'm very happy to have bread for a few days. But I quite like something sweet. I have a sweet tooth, so I like a bit of cake. So we do these lovely mug cakes, which are microwavable. So they're so easy to make. The chocolate one in particular, if you microwave for like 10 seconds less than it says on the back of the packet, you get like a lava cake, and it's absolutely amazing. It's 2.5 minutes in the oven, no sugar whatsoever, no gluten. So I'm more of a cake person. So the cakes would be the go-to product for me. But I'd say the majority of people out there would probably be bread. Bread is one that people find the most difficult to give up in general when they go on diets, whether that is a keto diet or Weight Watchers or any other mainstream diet. So yeah, bread probably is the go-to
Bread
product.
and the start. Okay, yes. Well, the cakes sound amazing. I mean, I think that's. I think if you're thinking about going sugar free, because a lot of people, I don't think they've quite grasped the fact that there's a lot of sugar in things like white bread. So anything that whether it's any of those sorts of products, bagels and white bread, and they're not really thinking that's a sugar. That's just that's just starch. That's not a sugar. And of course, they're not. That's an educational point, certainly for people. But I think if people are thinking of going sugar free, then I quite like the idea of introducing people to as you say, a microwavable cake that you can have in a couple of minutes. I mean, that's a great place to start. How easy is that? And so that I think is a big win, certainly for a sort of a dad like me that wants to knock up a quick cake in a cup. That would be probably the first thing I would want to go for. So that's my bit.
Fantastic. Well, it's been such a pleasure, Corina, having you. And
Likewise.
we hope that we get to meet you in person, and that this won't be the last time that we meet like this, and that we will have you back on the show, Sugar Free TV. And it's been a real pleasure. And we'll post a link to your website so people can have a look. And wish you massive success. And joining forces with us in this sweet revolution, so that we can really get things stirred up out there, and get people, we may succeed in saving people's lives. And that's something that a lot of people going into business don't consider, that the positive impact that they can have. So it's wonderful to meet other like-minded entrepreneurs like yourself, and wish you all the success, and look forward to having you back on our show again soon.
That's great. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yes, I look forward to coming back in the next few months and see how we get on.
Perhaps we can bake something together. That would be great.
Oh, yeah, that would be fantastic. Yes.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much, Corina. Thank you.
Thank you.